Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. And there you are. It's Saturday, January 18th, and it is 10:12 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to get into the fourth in the series of Glam's Calling. So that is what we're doing this evening. It's not a really busy news day today anyway, because of course it's Saturday. And so I thought it was a good day to do this, but I have spent so much time. I've probably spent more time on this one than I have the others combined. And I don't know why that is, other than these seem to be a little bit more cryptic. So we're at 2018, and we're going to go through those posts for the whole year. The next video will be part 5, and it will be 2019, and then another short video will cover 2020, and I may do a video wrapping it all up. Now, if you haven't seen at least the first part, you're not going to understand this at all, or where I'm coming from. So I would recommend that you watch at least the first part, which is called The Most Important Thing You've Never Heard. And then it'll give you a solid base for this. Also, yes, I realize all these people keep sending me the same information about it. You know, it's only a year old and this and that. Okay, that's not my concern. My concern is just decoding it as much as it can be decoded. That's what I'm concerned with right now. Now, I do know that the pictures on the website for what was it called? Meet Your Meat. Was that what? Oh, People Are Meat, I think, was the website. I think it's still down, or maybe it is password protected now. But at any rate, I do realize those are computer generated. But what would you expect? Would you expect people to be putting their real faces on something like this? I don't care if they're computer generated. I really don't. That doesn't prove or disprove anything. So anyway, I've heard all of the arguments that this is just a distraction and blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't see why. You know, if we still cover the stuff that's important, and news and Q and the rest, so what if I look into this? It's interesting to me, and it's obviously interesting to you guys, or you wouldn't be listening. So there you go. That's my little spiel, and I'm going to start now. All right. I do have a couple people to thank, but I'm going to save that to the end. All right. So let's start with January, and the cryptic messages start, very quick on here. At least in the other, the 2016 and 2017 were much easier to decode because they just weren't as cryptic as some of this stuff, but I don't know. So this says, Leave by the Witch Gate, and the title of this is Tituba. Leave by the Witch Gate, homeward over Winterwood, Tituba's night flight. Now, I guess the first order of business was to find out who Tituba is. Well, I do believe that this is who she is referring to, this person. And Tituba, in late February of 1692, now this has to do with the Salem witch trials, and this person actually existed. In late February of 1692, Reverend Samuel Parris called in a doctor to examine his 9-year-old daughter Betty and 11-year-old niece Abigail Williams, both of whom were suffering from spontaneous fits. The children were soon diagnosed as victims of witchcraft, setting off an outbreak of panic and hysteria, which would sweep through Salem Village and its neighboring towns over that year. Historians have long pointed the collective finger of blame at the Parris' slave, Tituba, one of the 3 women first accused of witchcraft and the only member of this unfortunate trio to survive the year. But she didn't survive long. And, from everything I've read, she actually was a witch. So I don't know, but it says many interpretations of the Salem witch trials acknowledge the pivotal role Tituba's confession played in legitimizing the early suspicious and subsequent investigations of witchcraft, seizing on the vivid descriptions of the devil and his minions that she provided to the examining justices. A number of sources also assert that Tituba also introduced supernatural ideas to the afflicted girls. These scholars claim Reverend Paris had purchased her in Barbados, unaware of the voodoo and witchcraft practices she would eventually undertake under the roof of the Salem parsonage. However, the mantle of guilt so easily thrust upon Tituba may not be rightfully hers. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but that is who she was. It says, in all of the court documents relating to the witchcraft trials, Tituba's identity is listed as that of an Indian woman servant. And since she was a slave, they probably, didn't treat slaves so well back then. So, Tituba's racial heritage has been transformed and confused, thus she appears in texts variously as Negro, half-breed, colored, or half-Indian, half-Negro. Assumptions about her origins range from the islands of Barbados to Africa to Native American. This confusion necessarily complicates any understanding of the consequential and critical part traditionally assigned to Tituba. We must consider how racial stereotypes and presumption have contributed to the varying amount of blame she is forced to bear. So there you go. I wonder if it has her, because I believe she was burned at the stake eventually. Nowhere in the court records or contemporary accounts is Tituba said to have taught the practice of fortune-telling to the girls in Reverend Paris's house. The fortune-telling technique that the girls used, as reported by one of them to Reverend John Hale, was an egg white in a glass of water. This was commonly known device in New England at the time, and it was condemned by the Puritans as demonic practice. According to the Reverend Hale, one of the girls saw a specter in the likeness of a coffin in the glass, and she and another girl fell into fits. Tituba did not confess to the teaching of fortune-telling. She confessed to signing the devil's book, flying in the air upon a pole, seeing cats, wolves, birds, and dogs, and pinching and choking some of the afflicted girls. She was also said to have been beaten by her owner, Reverend Paris, and was told to confess to witchcraft, which she did, and which she confessed, and what she confessed to was all culturally European, not African or Caribbean. Tituba's confession, however, did ignite a spark in the court, especially when she named the other accused witches, Good and Osborne, as her accomplices. Confession is what the judges were looking for, and Tituba's evidence of a conspiracy of witches in Salem village stimulated the court and the girls to find and convict more people. Now, I thought I read somewhere where she was eventually, I don't know, but that is no doubt in my mind who Somerset Belanoff is referring to here. And it says, leave by the witch gate. Now, I have looked and looked and looked to find out what the witch gate is. Now, it always leads me to a property in Texas that is, I don't know what happened there, but it's reportedly haunted, but I don't think that she's talking about that. I even went into the dark web, believe it or not. Yeah, that's not pleasant. Now, I didn't see anything, because anything that looked a little bit suspicious, it was like, no, there's just some things that you don't want to let in. But I could find nothing about witch gate. So it says, leave by the witch gate, homeward over winter wood, Tituba's night flight. So I don't know beyond that what this is referring to. Now, if any of you know, or if you've heard somebody cover this and they have a better explanation, because really I've given no explanation at all, then please put it in the comments below. Or if you guys find anything, this might lead you to want to look into this yourself. And if you do, we can just kind of pool our resources and figure some of this stuff out, if you're interested. If not, carry on. All right, now we're in February 2018, and this one is entitled All Towers and Stations. Now, this, I'm going to remove this because I know Michael Wolff had written a book, and it was published around the time of this release, which was February 8th, 2018. But that is not what this means. And I know that because later on, there is another post that gives light to this post. So Abel Wolff is it's a project name for, not a project, what do you call that? Like when somebody has like Operation Enduring Freedom, it's a title of an operation, I guess, to find and execute 3 men. That's what it is. So Abel Wolff has gone to ground. Now, what does that mean? Well, apparently these men were being held and they either escaped or I'm not sure, but it was around this time. So I am assuming that it's talking about these 3 men that we are going to cover in another post further down the page. Abel Wolff has gone to ground. Now, I really wasn't familiar with that term. I know what gone to ground means, but you don't hear it very often. That's an old saying. So gone to ground means to take evasive action in order to avoid further attention, to lay low. Ever since we and this is used in a sentence, ever since we exposed the mayor's sleazy secret policy, they've gone to ground on the issue. So this, the people involved in this had obviously gone underground, and if Abel Wolff refers to these 3 men, then they had indeed gone to ground because they knew that they were in trouble. And so she says they've gone to ground, summon Lord Chaos, and release the Hounds of Havoc. Now, there's common, you've heard of the Hounds of Hell. I think that that's what she is. She's releasing demons. She's releasing, obviously, our God is not a God of confusion or chaos. He's a God of order. And in fact, there's a mathematical base to everything in our world, everything created. It's amazing how everything connects. But anyway, so he's saying, release this demon, the Lord of Chaos, and the Hounds of Hell, or the Hounds of Havoc. And these men are later found dead. So let's come down and we'll get to more of that, which will make this make a lot more sense. All right, so let's move on. This is the second posting in February. And this is odd because it's written in French. And if you translate it from French, you have in darkness by the light of the moon in winter. Okay, and this is very famous. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. And Plain Hiver, not sure, but it is a place. And let's just go here. And then actually here as well, it's Fleury Marogus. Now, I could be pronouncing that wrong and probably am, but let's look at this information. What is Fleury Marogus? I'm not sure. Marogus, I don't know. Somebody over in France would be able to tell us, or somebody that is their first language is French. It's a commune in the Essonne department in northern France, in the southern suburbs of Paris. The commune has the Fleury Marogus prison, France's and Europe's largest prison. So this is Europe's largest prison is located there, the largest prison in Europe. So it's pretty important, that place, but this place has nothing to do with the picture that we're seeing. What is that picture? Well, it is let's go here and we will see if you put it into an image search, it comes to this Point Alexander in English, the third. And it's famous, inaugurated on the occasion of the 1900 Universal Exhibition and classed as a historic monument. The Pont Alexandre the third is the most emblematic bridge in Paris because of its architecture and location. At its four extremities are 17-meter-high pylons crowned with gilt bronze sculptures of winged horses representing the illustrious arts, science, commerce, and industry. Point Alexander the third connects the Invalides on the left bank to the Grand Palais and Petit Palais on the right bank. From the bridge, you can enjoy a sweeping view of the buildings as well as the Eiffel Tower over the Seine, which makes it a popular place for a stroll at any time of the day or night, and it's a popular tourist destination. But let's come back here. What is it alluding to? That's what I don't know, because it says in plain hiver means in winter. So it says in darkness by the light of the moon in winter. And then it has the largest of the, like it's got, this refers to the largest prison in Europe. And it's a picture of this bridge. So what it's referring to, I don't know. Now, I did go back into 2018 and I looked at every world event that happened in February of 2018. I couldn't find anything that really stood out to me and said, oh, you know, this might be something. So there's lots of, you know, happenings, but just nothing that I can connect to this. So your guess is as good as mine at this point. And if you have any wild ideas, I don't care how wild they are, you know, put it in the comments and don't make fun of anybody else's, you know, we've got some very, very funny people that post regularly. So don't take offense to that because they really are quite hysterical. But anyway, if somebody has an idea of what this could be, please put it in the comments below. And let's move on to the next one. This is the third post in February. And it says, I can't pronounce this, but we're going to go and find out what that is. And it, she says, enough has been said. It is time for you to step down. You have 2 weeks to prepare your exit. Any longer and Wetton will finish this. Now that's Wetton, the council to which she belongs and is the head. In fact, if you haven't seen the first video and second and third, then this person is reportedly over the Illuminati, is actually like way up there. So whether that's true or not does not concern me at this point. I'm just investigating it. And yes, I do realize everything that everyone is saying. I have come across the same stuff myself, but there's no harm in looking at it because there's a lot of this stuff that seems a little, just a little bit too advanced to be, you know, a LARP, unless it's some very intelligent people doing it. So anyway, so enough has been said. It's time for you to step down. You have 2 weeks to prepare. All right. Well, let's look at this. Now, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this gentleman's name. Let's call him HD. HD, born 19th of July, 1965, is an Ethiopian politician who served as 8th Prime Minister of Ethiopia from 2012 to 2018. So when did he step down? Well, it says he submitted his resignation as Prime Minister of Ethiopia and EPRDF chairperson on the 15th of February 2018. in response to the fallout from mass protests and unrest in 2016. His resignation was accepted on the 11th of March 2018, but he stayed in office as caretaker prime minister until the 2nd of April 2018. He is the first ruler in modern Ethiopian history to step down. Previous leaders have died in office or been overthrown. He said he wanted to clear the way for reforms. So this person, Somerset Belanoff, posts this on February 1st. And this, he announces his resignation, and it is accepted on February the 15th. Interesting. If you don't find that interesting, I don't know what is, because, and I understand people say, well, you can date posts however you want on WordPress. Yes, I know that. I've built many WordPress sites, and I do know that. But still, number one, we don't have proof that any of it is backdated or whatever. And second, we don't know that this wasn't up on another site and hidden. So I don't know, but let's go on, because we're concerned with just working through these posts and discovering what there is to be discovered. So we're into March 2018, and this says, Lieutenant Harry Percy Dawson, please return to Worthy Down and contact Sir Arthur Harris for further instructions. Now, what is Worthy Down? Well, if you're American or Canadian or Australian or whatever, you probably, I had never heard of this, but some of you people in the military probably have. But Worthy Down, RAF, was RAF Worthy Down was a Royal Air Force station located 3.5 miles northwest of Winchester, Hampshire. The airfield was also known as RNAS Worthy Down. The Royal Navy used the airfield from 1939 until 1942. Being completed in 1918, the airfield was first manned by Number 58 Squadron, RAF. The airfield remained in use throughout the Second World War and was made into an engineering school in 1952. The airfield was in use until 1960. The station is now Worthy Down Barracks. All right. So it was an RAF Air Force station. It is not in use any longer. But, and at first I said, well, that can't be it because it's not in use anymore. Well, then I started researching the names. Who is Lieutenant Harold Percy Dawson? And who is Sir Arthur Harris? And why would they need to return to Worthy Down and contact Sir Arthur Harris? It didn't make sense to me. But let's take a look at this, because these people are deceased, which is even stranger, if you ask me. Okay, and I found this forum, Aerodrome Forum, and I think I found this, even though this isn't on the dark web, I found the link to this on the dark web. Hi, everyone. I'm new to the Aerodrome, just started to collect to the Royal Flying Corps. I don't know if anyone can help me. I'm trying to find out about Second Lieutenant Harold Percy Dawson. The only information I have is that he graduated as a pilot on the 22nd of November, 1917, and died in a flying accident on the 9th of March, 1918, I believe in the UK. And that information is correct. That's who he was. And here is welcome to the flagship of the Aerodrome, where the greatest minds on the planet get together and talk about their favorite subject, World War I. In answer to our question, here is some info that I have. Dawson, Second Lieutenant Harold Percy, and He was a native of Crouch End, London. He was 27. He was killed He was killed while flying, not by flying. He was buried at Edmonton, Middlesex. Airman died in the Great War, 1914 to 1918, the Roll of Honor of the British and Commonwealth Air Services of the First World War. So that is where this person got that information from this book. The Roll of Honor of the British and Commonwealth Air Services of the First World War by Chris Hobson. Okay, so he was a pilot, young pilot actually, 27, and he only flew for a year and was killed in the war. And let's go back and look at this. So who is Sir Arthur Harris? Well, he was Marshal of the Royal Air Force, Sir Arthur Travers Harris, 1st Baronet, commonly known as Bomber Harris by the press and often with the RAF as Butcher Harris, was Air Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Air Officer Commanding-in-Chief, RAF Bomber Command during the height of the Anglo-American strategic bombing campaign against Nazi Germany in the Second World War. In 1942, the British cabinet agreed to the area bombing of German cities. So blah, blah, blah. That is who he is. But he served in the Second World War. And this is what I don't understand at all. But this is how I can explain it too. Either these names are given sort of as a moniker to certain individuals that they know and we don't, or they are contacting the dead. Now, there is plenty of evidence throughout these posts that they do in fact contact the dead. So I don't know if this is such a situation, but he's saying, please return, Lieutenant Harold Percy Dawson, please return to Worthy Down. Well, how can he return to Worthy Down? He's dead. And wherever he's buried, that's where he's staying. And, you know, once you're dead, you're dead. And contact Sir Arthur Harris for further instructions. So I guess if they are, and she doesn't say on which channel to contact him, which is odd because if she's speaking to real human beings, she usually tells what channel, like the Forgotten Channel or whatever. So I'm thinking she's wanting this dead person to contact another dead person. I don't know. But it's the only way I can explain it. And yes, that's out there, but they do believe in that and they do practice that. So, and I'm not just saying they as in this group, but a lot of groups, and especially, you know, New World Order types. So let's go on now, and we're going to go to the second posting in March. And this one, I spent probably hours on this, trying to find out what this was. Wetton ruling on heliotrope phase 2. Glad tidings for Lord's appellant, Derby's assent confirmed for final dispensation. Well, an appellant is a person who applies to a higher court for a reversal of the decision of a lower court. So, and what is the Lord's appellant? Well, interestingly enough, let's look here. And it's going to explain to us what the Lord's appellant really is. The Lord's appellant was a group of nobles in the reign of King Richard II who, in 1388, sought to impeach some 5 of the king's favorites in order to restrain what was seen as tyrannical and capricious rule. The word appellant simply means one who is appealing. In a legal sense, it is the older Norman French form of the present participle of the verb appeller, the equivalent of the English to appear. The group was called the Lord's Appellant because its members invoked a procedure under law to start prosecution of the king's unpopular favorites, known as an appeal. The favorites were charged in a document called an appeal of treason, a device borrowed from civil law, which led to some procedural complications. And here were there were originally 3 Lords Appellant: Thomas of Woodstock, Duke of Gloucester, son of Edward III, and thus the king's uncle, Richard Fitzalan, Earl of Arundel and of Surrey, and Thomas de Beauchamp, Earl of Warwick. These were later joined by Henry Bolingbroke, Earl of Derby, the future King Henry IV, and Thomas de Mowbray, Earl of Nottingham. Now, who they are? Your guess is as good as mine, because I had never even heard that, the Lords Appellant. So they achieved their goals, first establishing a commission to govern England for 1 year from 19th of November 1386. In 1387, the Lords Appellant launched an armed rebellion against King Richard and defeated an army under Robert de Vere, Earl of Oxford, at the skirmish of Radcott Bridge outside Oxford. They maintained Richard as a figurehead with little real power. They had their revenge of the king's favorite in the merciless Parliament, the nominal Governor of Ireland, de Vere, and Richard's Lord Chancellor, Michael de la Pole, Earl of Suffolk, who had fled abroad, were sentenced to death in their absence. So I guess they were, and all right, and what was this? Is any of the nothing? This isn't really related, because let's go back. Glad tidings. So these 3 people that made up the Lords Appellant are obviously dead, but she's wishing them glad tidings. So that's a little odd. And then she said, Derby's assent confirmed for final dispensation. Well, what is a dispensation? For, just in case you're not aware, of course, I'm used to this word because it is actually a biblical word. Dispensation means a system of order, government, or organization of a nation, community, especially as existing at a particular time. Used in a sentence, scholarship is conveyed to a wider audience than under the old dispensation. And it also can refer to an exemption from a rule or a usual requirement. Now, I think in this case, it is the second definition that this refers to. But again, I don't know what this is actually referring to. So, and heliotrope phase 2 is a, well, let's look that up. I thought I had it, but I guess I don't. And let's shut some of these down because, well, we can. And let's go here. Heliotrope phase 2. Let's look this up. Now, heliotrope is also a plant. Some of you gardeners probably know that. And yes, this is why I didn't include it, because I couldn't find anything on this. Although heliotrope technologies, let's see what this is. Heliotrope and Mornango Glass announced channel partner agreement. I thought somewhere it said, okay, Glaston Corporation and Heliotrope Technologies, Inc. to introduce next step in smart glass technology. So, I don't know. But it's in July, they started the testing on it. Heliotrope's electronic package, HEP, completes first phase of customer trials. So I don't know, but that is what we have on that. And again, I don't have definitive answers on any of this. Some of it is self-explanatory. Some of it definitely is not. Now, this says the Wetton ruling on heliotrope phase 2. Well, I would assume possibly it refers to that smart glass technology, but I don't know. So I don't know. And there you are. If any of you have any more information on this, or you have any ideas that go through your head and you think, well, it could mean this, then put it in the comments below. We can all figure this out, maybe, or maybe not. All right, here we are in April of 2018, and it says Ethiopia and Eritrea. After 20 years of war, it is time for new leadership and bold action. Abiy Ahmed relinquish territorial claims and end the conflict. Implement the 2002 ruling by the EEBA. Do this, and GLOMS will instruct the UN to drop sanctions. Get this done. Now, I do, in fact, know what this is talking about. So let's go here. And the Abiy Ahmed is an Ethiopian politician serving as the fourth prime minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia since 2nd of April 2018. He is chairman of both the ruling Ethiopian party's Revolutionary Democratic Front, a former Army intelligence officer. Since becoming prime minister, Abiy has launched a wide program of political and economic reforms and worked to broker peace deals in Eritrea, South Sudan, and a transition agreement in the Republic of the Sudan. Abiy was awarded the 2019 Nobel Peace Prize for his work in ending the 20-year post-war territorial stalemate between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Okay, but this feud between Ethiopia and Eritrea is what Somerset Belanoff, if she indeed wrote this, that's what she is referring to. So, and it says after 20 years of war, it's time for a new leadership and bold action. So that would be Abiy Ahmed relinquish territorial claims, and she is instructing him, release those claims and end the conflict. And then she's saying, go back to the 2002 ruling by the EEBA. All right, and then it says, do this, and GLOMS will instruct the UN to drop the sanctions. And indeed, they did have sanctions against them. And so, what is this agreement? Well, let's take a look. Shall we? Of course we shall. All right. I am a crazy nut. I've got coffee and tea here. The coffee's cold, the tea's hot. All right. Eritrea, Ethiopia Boundary Commission, that is what the EEBA, well, this is a boundary commission, but it's the same thing. The Permanent Court of Arbitration serves as registry for this boundary commission established pursuant to the agreement of the 12th of December of 2000 between the government of the state of Eritrea and the government of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. The commission has a mandate to delimit and demarcate the colonial treaty border based on pertinent colonial treaties 1900, 1902, and 1908 and applicable international law. The decision of delimitation of the border between Eritrea and Ethiopia, don't worry, I'm not reading the whole thing, was delivered by the Commission on 13th of April 2002. Having completed the task of delimitation, the Commission moved on to effecting the actual demarcation of that boundary on the ground. From November 2002 to late 2003, the Commission met several times with delegates of the party and observers from the United Nations and the African Union to discuss matters related to the ongoing demarcation process. However, no progress was made due to the irreconcilable demands of Ethiopia and Eritrea. In March 2006, the demarcation activities, which had been halted in 2003 due to circumstances beyond the Commission's control, resumed. The last meeting was held in September 2007, but no agreement has yet been reached towards the emplacement of pillars on the ground. So they're wanting Ethiopia to relinquish their control of this territory, Eritrea. And this was the treaty that they had come up with, or whatever. I guess it is a treaty. Somerset, if that is who is writing that, is saying, I want you to go back to that agreement that was made back then and relinquish your control. So that is exactly what happened. Now, let's look at this. And on June 5th, this was posted in April. On June 5th, Ethiopia agreed to abide by the 2000 peace treaty. So let's look at this as well. The Eritrean-Ethiopian War, one of the conflicts in the Horn of Africa, took place between Ethiopia and Eritrea from May 1998 to June 2000, with the final peace only agreed to in 2018, 20 years after the initial confrontation. Interesting. So Eritrea and Ethiopia, two of the world's poorest countries, spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the war and suffered tens of thousands of casualties as a direct consequence of the conflict. Only minor border changes resulted. According to the ruling by an international commission in The Hague, Eritrea broke international law and triggered the war by invading Ethiopia. At the end of the war, Ethiopia held all of the disputed territory and had advanced into Eritrea. After the war ended, the Eritrea-Ethiopian Boundary Commission, a body founded by the UN, established that Badme, the disputed territory at the heart of the conflict, belongs to Eritrea. As of 2019, Ethiopia still occupies the territory near Badme, including the town of Badme. On the 5th of June 2018, the ruling coalition of Ethiopia, headed by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, agreed to fully implement the peace treaty signed with Eritrea in 2000. With peace declared by both parties in July 2018. Wow. So that is exactly what she was referring to. And interestingly enough, there had been sanctions put on them by the UN, and those were released. So this is a very accurate post. And not only is it accurate, but it's very easy to understand exactly what it means. All right. Now let's come down here, and this is the second one posted in April of 2018, and I'm a little bit perplexed with this. And it says, the pig collar is insane. Rupert, the pig collar, is insane, standing with his whistle in the pouring rain. Doesn't hear the taunts, he doesn't know fear, grunting responses from far and near. Now, this is cryptic indeed, and I have tried unsuccessfully to decode this. I have looked at everything, believe me, and I don't understand what this could possibly mean. It's obviously not meant for us to know what it means, but if any of you guys have any indication of what it might mean, then put it in the comments below, because we'll entertain anything at this point. Doesn't mean that it's true, but we can look into everything. Why not? We're adults. We can do what we want. Now, I thought actually, when I first saw this, I thought it might be referring to Rupert Murdoch, who is the owner of Fox News and a lot of other media. Let's take a look, or was the owner of Fox News, not sure anymore, but Rupert Murdoch's Fox network arm raided in European Commission probe. So that happened the 10th of April. And this was written, what? April 17th. So that would be, yeah, I don't know. But that's the first, because Rupert isn't a very popular name, and that's the first name when I heard Rupert that popped into my head. So I checked it out, but it's not really a good fit either. But again, if you guys have any ideas or suggestions of where to research, because I have run out with this one. I spent a lot of time on these ones that I don't get. They're very cryptic and not sure at all. Now, this one, not so cryptic. Her Majesty's Principal Secretary of State for the Home Department. Now, this is, again, in April of 2018. In line with Amber Rudd's pending resignation, GLAMS and the upper chamber endorse Sajid Javid as her successor. Probably mangled that name, and I wear that as a badge of honor. Not really, it's a badge of shame, but I'll just, say I do it on purpose. Yeah. Okay, well, let's take a look at who Amber Rudd is. It's her. Yeah, this chick right over here. All right, she was in office from the 16th of November 2018 to the 7th of September 2019. Not a long time at all, under a year. So she was born the 1st of August 1963, as a British politician who served as Home Secretary from 2016 to 2018 and Secretary of State for Work and Pensions from 2018 to 2019. She was first elected Member of Parliament for Hastings and Rye in 2010, representing the Conservative Party, and stood down from Parliament in 2019. So, she served as Home Secretary, Her Majesty's Principal Secretary of State for the Home Department. Normally referred to as the Home Secretary, is head of the Home Office and a senior cabinet minister in Her Majesty's government. It is a high-profile position, one of the 4 great offices of state. And so she was appointed Home Secretary in May government on the 13th of July 2016 and given the additional role of Minister of Women and Equalities in January 2018. Rudd was the 3rd female Home Secretary, the 5th woman to hold one of the great offices of state, and the fastest rising politician to a great office of state since the Second World War. She resigned as Home Secretary in April 2018. She resigned as Home Secretary in April of 2018 in connection with the Windrush deportation scandal. All right, we don't need to know all that, but about the scandal and everything, but what does this say? In line with Amber Rudd's pending resignation. Now, this was April 10th. Pending resignation. Now, it says, GLAMS and the upper chamber endorse this guy as her successor. Well, who was her successor? Let's take a look. I bet you know. Yeah, this guy, whose name I'm not going to try to mangle. Let's call him SJ. SJ is a British Conservative Party politician who has served as Chancellor of the Exchequer since July 2019. He was previously Home Secretary from 2018 to 2019 and has served as Member of Parliament for Bromsgrove since 2010. Javid was the first British Asian to hold one of the great offices of state in the UK. So he did, in fact, follow her as Home Secretary. And that is what this post is saying, that's who GLAMS endorses. That guy, the guy that actually did follow Amber Rudd when she resigned. All right, so we got that one checked off. Okay, and let's come down to this. And we are still in April of 2018. And this is very interesting. We have Duma respond now in capital letters. Westminster, Paris, Washington. So these are addressed to the UK, to France, and to Washington, the US. Now, it says Westminster, Paris, Washington. Assad's chemical attack on Duma cannot go unanswered. Recommend strike from above within 1 week. Coordinate your forces and contact Cathedral Tower on forgotten frequency to advise when ready. Now, forgotten frequency is a way that they communicate, and I am looking into the forgotten frequency and probably will do at least a small video on that. Cathedral Tower is in Belgium. Brussels, Belgium, I believe, or maybe Luxembourg. I'm not sure, but it's yeah. All right, I did know. I don't know where it went in there. Now, the 2018 Duma chemical attack on the 7th of April. Now, this is April 8th, the day after the attack. If it wasn't, funny dating going on, then it was posted the day after this attack, Duma chemical attack on 7th of April 2018. A chemical warfare attack was carried out in the Syrian city of Duma. Medics and witnesses reported that it caused the deaths of between 40 and 50 people and injuries to possibly well over 100. 49 reported killed, 100 to 650 injured. Okay, what was the outcome of that? US, UK, and France. The three mentioned here, Westminster, UK, Paris, France, Washington, US, launch retaliatory missile strikes. That was the outcome. And you'll see here, that is exactly what they wanted. They wanted this attack to be punished. And it was. And let's go here to show that on April 14th, they didn't even leave it a week. She said within the week, they did it within the week. If it's to believe, if it is to be believed. It says Syria, US, UK, and France launched strikes in response to chemical attack. So, that is indeed what happened. They were attacked from above, and they launched more than 100 missiles. So there you go. All right. And let's close some of these down because we can. All right. And let's go back here. So it says, recommend strike from above within 1 week. And what happened? There was a strike from above by these three, the US, UK, and France. And it says coordinate your forces. They did. And contact Cathedral Tower to advise when ready. And Cathedral Tower, I believe, is either in Luxembourg or Brussels. But anyway, I digress. So we can leave that one, and we're going to go on to May 2018. Now, here is another one that I wish I could decode, but I can't, because it could mean a number of things and possibly some really creepy things. It says, Beastie Ball, legs working double time, answer the call. Punctual arrival at the Beastie Ball. Squealers on the move, snouts in the air. Join the naked master at the High Street Fair. Now, it says squealers on the move, snouts in the air. I think here they're saying they're on an airplane. I really do. I think the squealers are the people that will be consumed. And they're on the move. The snouts are in the air. So, and it says legs working double time, answer the call, punctual arrival at the Beastie Ball. Now, I believe this High Street Fair has something to do with Bohemian Grove, and in all my reading and everything, there may be more of an explanation down a bit, but I just have a feeling that because it's mentioned in conjunction with a picture from, it's mentioned in conjunction with a picture of Bohemian Grove down further. So I don't know, but it says join the naked master at the High Street Fair. So that's what I think it means. I think that these squealers on the move with snouts in the air, she's letting them know they're on the plane, they're in the air. And they're going to join the Naked Master at the High Street Fair. These are not people that are going to be overjoyed at meeting this Naked Master. And the legs working double time to answer the call are those that are invited. That's what I believe. So, and I think she is letting everyone know that there will be a punctual arrival. I don't think she's saying, you guys need to arrive on time. I think she's saying the squealers, the snouts, they're on the plane, they're in the air, and they're going to have a punctual arrival at the Beastie Ball. All right, what the Beastie Ball is, I think we can probably imagine. Not that we want to, but I think we can. So this is the second posting on May 15th, and it says, 5-star movement, Italy, the upper chamber has approved your ascent. You may assume control immediately. Now, what does this mean? Well, what is the 5-star movement? Let's find that out first. And the 5-star movement is a political party in Italy. The M5S was founded on the 4th of October, 2009 by Beppe Grillo, a comedian and blogger. Grillo appointed a dictatorate composed of 5 leading MPs, which lasted until the following October when he dissolved it and proclaimed himself the political head of M5S. Grillo is also formerly president of the association named the 5-Star Movement. His nephew, Enrico Grillo, serves as vice president, and his accountant, Enrico Maria Nadasi, as secretary. So, and all right, let's come down here because to the important part here. Okay, in the 2018 general election, the M5S, which is the 5-Star Movement, became the largest individual party in the Italian parliament and entered government. So that would be like if somebody came up with, we've got 2 parties in the United States, but if somebody came up with a third party, that would be equivalent to it entering the ring formally. It's actually a real party, and people can vote for that party. So that is what it's talking about. Let's go back because we can. And it says the upper chamber has approved your ascent. So to me, that means if it's been accepted into government, and I believe it said in May, didn't it? Oh, I don't know. No, it just says the general election. And when was that? Let's find that out. Was held on the 4th of March. The 4th of March. After the Italian parliament was dissolved by President Sergio Mattarella on the 28th of December, 2017. So it was held on the 4th of March. All right. And you may assume control immediately. Let's see. On the 31st of May, 2018, following 88 days of negotiation and several impasses, law professor Giuseppe Conte was appointed as a prime minister with support from the League and the 5-Star Movement. So even though not having run for Italian parliament, Matteo Salvini of the League and Luigi Di Maio of the 5-Star Movement were also appointed as vice premiers, thus forming the 66th Italian government since World War II. The formation of a new government avoided the possibility of immediate new elections. So that is what that means. And she's saying that, we approve of this ascent to power by this 5-Star Movement and those that represent it. So you may assume control immediately. Okay, again, that is in May 2018. And let's come down here. Very interesting post, if you ask me. How you pronounce this, I don't know, but it says, stand down. Swamp striders on the move. Prepare to bleed. cold silence protocol is invoked until heavens break. So this was posted on May 6th. And let's look at this, because this is a real thing. This, I don't know how you pronounce that actually. This, she's telling this, whatever it is, to stand down. So what is it? Well, I don't know. I was really, I think I've opened up another rabbit hole, like a deep one, because, well, not necessarily I have, because I'm sure other people know about this, but it is KinetiQ, I think maybe is how you pronounce it. It's prototype warfare. How do we move from concept to reality? Now, this is kind of like, okay, well, hang on. Sectors using cutting-edge science, technology, and innovation, we provide customer with mission-critical solutions. Yeah, and they work in defense. We work across the defense sector to continuously develop services, products, and technologies that deliver operational advantage to our customers. Well, who are their customers? If it's in defense, well, their customers would be countries, right? And they are, because Canada has, there's a branch in Canada as well, and air, cyber, land, maritime, and space. So they pretty much patrol it all. And let's see here. Let's do this. Let's see what they do here. It says, as trusted partners, so they are contractors basically that come in and work with the military. As trusted partners to governments and air forces around the world, we help our customers to improve operational readiness, optimize safety and performance, and reduce cost. So let's go back to here and let's see this. Cyber attacks, system failure, data theft, inappropriate use, unauthorized access. The world's data and the systems that hold it face these threats every day. So security and digital resilience is paramount. So they help with that. Land, let's see. So I am thinking this would be a company similar to Blackwater, which was really a private army. And it says land, alongside customers and industry experts, we're constantly innovating to make our land systems smarter and more efficient. All right. Says over the last 40 years, we've pioneered the shift to unmanned and autonomous vehicles and robotics to help keep people, places, and platforms safe. We've led research across a broad spectrum of topics, embraced and expanded the fourth industrial revolution, developing unique insights into specific physical protection challenges. Our synthetic eye star technology enables troops to get all the training they need to be battle ready without the huge cost. Our specialist vehicle assessment trials are built around individual requirements, bringing together world-class facilities with a team of automotive experts. So this is huge, like way huge. And I'd never heard of them before. So this is interesting. And of course, they've got the triangle, and we've got the triangle with the eye inside of it. That is not the eye of God. That is Lucifer. And the rays coming from it, which is rays of illumination, because in Luciferianism, how you get saved is by gnosis, or spelled Gnosis. Gnostics, you've heard of the Gnostics. Well, in Luciferianism, you are saved by secret knowledge or knowledge, whereas in Christianity, you are saved through the blood of Christ and his sacrifice. So this is very different, of course, than I am a believer in Jesus Christ and a follower. So, you know, it's obvious what I believe. But it says swamp striders on the move. Now, prepare to bleed. cold silence protocol is invoked until heavens break. Now, I am thinking that somehow these swamp people, the swamp, the deep state, the cabal, maybe this is saying, prepare to bleed. And we're going to cut off your means of communication. I don't know. I don't know precisely what this means, but I did look in what else happened in this month because I thought it might be related. This happened in May of 2018, and this is an event of interest. May 8th, President Trump pulls the U.S. out of the multilateral Iran nuclear deal. So that was something significant. And here's an event of interest. May 9th, Iranians and their president, Hassan Rouhani, react angrily to President Trump pulling the U.S. out of the Iran nuclear deal. So perhaps this is, directed to them. I don't know, but it says this company should stand down and swamp striders on the move, prepare to bleed. I don't know. But it's all very interesting. So let's move on. We can't solve that definitively, but we have, a few little clues there. And let's move on. This is another in the month of May, and it says all towers and stations. Project Able Wolf is concluded. On the 4th of May, the Hounds of Havoc, remember her invoking them, overtook their prey. 3 traitorous delegates, their souls released, lay themselves down on cold steel rails to await the 115. And the cold steel rails, they were found on a railroad, and it was the 115 train that I believe ran over them, if I'm not mistaken. Many thanks to Lord Chaos, for the butchery was exquisite, and a fine example was provided to all. Debate is required, respectful dissent is allowed, and treachery is a death sentence. So these 3 men obviously had crossed this Council of Wetton in the upper chambers, and it was not respectful dissent, it was treachery, and they signed their own death warrants, apparently. Now, we're going to look at something because somebody says, well, I can't find anything about that anywhere. So that's got to be false. Well, okay. Let's look at this. Okay, Project Wetton, GLAM's Wetton Project, Able Wolf, Body Identification, Wallenberg. And this was uploaded by Callum McCoynich. And I recognize that name because I don't know the last name, the first name, but the last name, McCoynich, he is the head of security for this group. So it says leaked Ventura County, California Sheriff's report indicating Mr. Wallenberg was killed by gunshot and left on train track to be dismembered by train, as with 2 other individuals, Mr. Berezowski and Mr. Gravier. Postcards from Glom's castle with written references to Somerset Belanoff were found with clothing belonging to Wallenberg. All 3 reports have been destroyed by Ventura County Sheriff Department. However, before they were destroyed, they were uploaded. And here they are. The date of report is May 5th, 2018. Method of alert, a 911 call by Metrolink engineer at 1343, routed to Ventura County Sheriff. So obviously, Metrolink engineer was, he ran over the body and called 911. The date of discovery was 5/4/2018. It was a male. Time of discovery, 1:55. He is 191 centimeters. He was deceased, shot, dismembered by train. His hair is red. Name of descendant, Eric Jacob Wallenberg. Eyes, unknown. So the eyes couldn't have fared too well. Swedish passport, date of birth, February 13th, 1981. So wasn't that old. And it says ID number, nationality race, Sweden, white. And it says Deputy of Research, SIMI, MPK. And location of body was WB, railroad tracks, approximately 500 feet from west entrance to Santa Susana train tunnel, unincorporated area near Corriganville Park. And it says details, descendant, nude body discovered near railroad tracks. A victim shot multiple times with large caliber shotgun wounds to face and torso. Body unlikely undressed and placed on railroad tracks post-mortem. Time and location of shooting undetermined at the time of discovery by Ventura County deputies. Metrolink commuter train number 115 struck body at approximately 1340 hours. Body partially dismembered by impact. Metrolink engineer phoned 911. Gray Hugo Boss suit with bloodstains and what appears to be gunshot holes found approximately 30 feet from body. Vintage postcards from Glom's Castle with handwritten reference to Somerset Belanoff located with clothing. Descendants, Swedish passport in left breast pocket of suit. 2 other bodies found at same location. See reports reference 0518147 and 0518148. Photos of scene attached. Yeah. So let me see here if we can. Yeah, that is the only one that is there and uploaded. And I think this is the person that was that they were most interested in. All right. So there you go. That is what that was about. That was Project Able Wolf, and it was concluded on the 4th of May. And when were they deceased? Well, it says the 4th of May. They were found the 5th of May. So that is that, and let's go on to June. Now, the June one is like the 2 before it that commemorates the town of Hamelin, Germany, which is well known for the story of the Pied Piper, and it is identical to the last 2 years, the post, and it says, it is 734 years since our children left. And there is a wave file here that I'm not going to play because I don't know what's in those sounds and what they've put in them. So I don't want to submit myself to them. I listened to a couple and they just left me feeling disturbed. So I'm not listening to them again. You can do so at your own peril. And this is the next one that was posted on June 26th. Of course, that is the date, the commemorative date of the incident. And we are coming down to the second post in June, and it is, of course, Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Grove welcomes Ralph Stafford and Margaret Audley to the High Street Fair. That is why I think of High Street, the Beastie Ball at the High Street Fair. That's what that's why I think that it has something to do with Bohemian Grove, and probably not anything pleasant. So, this was posted on June 21st, which of course was the summer solstice. And let's look at this. No, really, let's. Now, who is Stafford and Margaret? Okay, Ralph of Stafford and Margaret of Audley. So that is who they're referring to, but they're both dead. So the husband was Ralph of Stafford, 1301 to 1372, and his wife was Margaret of Audley, 1300 to 1347. She died young. Yeah, so who were these people? Well, they occupied Turnbridge Castle, Staffordshire, England, first Earl of Stafford, Turnbridge Castle, Staffordshire, England. And that is all we know of them. So it says the history of Stafford Castle dates from the period following the Norman Conquest. I'm not going to read all this because, you know, we don't want to be here all night. But I don't really know. She was the second Baroness, Audley, and Countess of Strafford. She was an English noblewoman. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but they are inviting dead people. Again, with the dead people, I don't know. But it's saying Bohemian Grove welcomes Ralph Stafford and Margaret Audley. Now, what are the chances that when you look it up, you find a married couple by those names? And they're welcoming them to the High Street Fair. So your guess is as good as mine, but I'm thinking that, well, you probably don't want to know what I'm thinking. Okay, July 2018, we are now here. And again, we have a post from Bohemian Grove. And get this, the upper chamber has decided Mr. Jones has ranted long enough and it's time to remove his platforms. Other options were discussed, but we want to restrict his reach without turning him into a martyr. Apple, Google, and others who host this material execute calm night. Bohemian Grove, you're holding the blood stick on this one, as the various lucrative platforms are within your geographical sphere of influence. In these types of cases, we much prefer to have local people handle because you know the area and you manage the technology. If you're not comfortable handling, contact Cathedral Tower on Node 6 to declare your neutrality, and GLOMS will handle less paperwork and no law enforcement to deal with if you handle more drama and extreme scrutiny from law enforcement and media whores if GLAMS has to respond. Either way, though, this Jones thing is over. And of course, they are talking about Alex Jones. This is July 2018. August 6th, Facebook, Apple, YouTube, and Spotify remove conspiracy theorist Alex Jones from their platforms. So the call goes out to these people to remove him, and he is indeed removed. And Bloodstick, I thought that was an odd name, but this is the only definition I could come up with, an erect penis. So I don't know, but it says you hold the blood stick on this. So I don't know. I'm not thinking that is probably the real definition of that, but I don't know. All right, and this is the next in that month, and we saw this last time, or maybe it was in the 2016 material. Dear lady, we offer our heartfelt condolences, love, and respect on this day of commemoration. Please accept my invitation to join me once again for midnight services in the chapel. Your seat is reserved, as it has been these past 481 years, with deepest affection. Somerset. And Lady Janet Douglas of GLAMS, falsely accused of witchcraft and burned at the stake at Edinburgh Castle, July 17th, 1537. Now, we covered that in material earlier, so this is the when she died, July 17th, and she posted this in commemoration. And when she says, I'm going to meet you in the chapel, your space is reserved, I believe that she is literally calling up the dead, because there's no other explanation for that, unless one of you guys has a better idea. So, August 2018, and we have this, worldwide witchery. Angevin line is strongest, all praise Melusine, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I gave it a shot. And of course, we have a picture of the goat, which represents many things, including Baphomet and all sorts of things. All right, who is Melusine or Melusine? Well, we're going to find out. maybe. Come on. There we go. Okay. Melusine, or Melusina, is a figure of European folklore and mythology, a female spirit of fresh water in a sacred spring or river. She is usually depicted as a woman who is a serpent or fish from the waist down, much like a mermaid. She is also sometimes illustrated with wings, two tails, or both. Her legends are especially connected with the northern and western areas of France, Luxembourg, and the Low Countries. The House of Luxembourg, which ruled the Holy Roman Empire from AD 1308 to AD 1437, as well as Bohemia and Hungary. The Counts of Anjou and their descendants, the House of whatever. Okay, so one tale says Melusine, whatever her name is, was the daughter of the fairy Prasine and King Elenus of Albany, now known as Scotland. Her mother leaves her husband, taking her daughters to the Isle of Avalon after she breaks an oath never to look at her and her daughter in their bath. The same pattern appears in stories where Melusine marries a nobleman only after he makes an oath to give her privacy in her bath. Each time she leaves the nobleman after he breaks that oath. Shape-shifting and flights on wings away from oath-breaking husbands also figure in stories about Melusine, according to in Curious Tales of the Middle Ages. The pattern of the tale is similar to the Knight of the Swan legend, which inspired the character whatever. So these are not names that I can pronounce without a lot of practice. So that is who she is, and let's look at this. Oh, darn. What was I looking at there? Hang on. We'll get it. Maybe not. Oh, yes. And Angevin, let's look at that. Now, the Angevin Empire, the term Angevin Empire, French, we don't need the French, is a collective exonym referring to the possessions of the Angevin kings of England who held lands in England and France during the 12th and 13th century. Its rulers were Henry II, ruled 1154 to 1189, and Richard 1189 to 1199, and John 1199 to 1216. The Angevin Empire is an early example for composite states. The Angevins of the French House of Plantagenet ruled over an area covering half of France, all of England, and parts of Ireland and Wales, and had further influence over much of the remaining British Isles. It's time for tea. Oh, it's delicious. Okay, so the Angevins were a royal house of French origin that ruled England in the 12th and early 13th century. So that is who we're talking about. And it says worldwide witchery, Angevin line is the strongest. All praise Melusine or whatever. So I'm not any more than enlightened, except they're saying that I'm sure they're saying the Angevin line is strongest, meaning the line, the genetics, the blood, whatever, is strongest. And they're praising this woman that's half fish. I don't know. Come on. Now, if you're going to make fun of me, at least come up with a better interpretation of this. Now, I'm still looking into all this, to tell you the truth. Somebody that is really good in history, like European history, would have a field day with this stuff. But, all right. Now, I can remove that because it doesn't lead anywhere. I don't know. Okay, and again, we're still in August, and we get to Cathedral Towers, and again, I can't discern what this means either. Anarchy of the Wolves is now in effect. Now, I would assume that's another, just like Able Wolf was like a project or a mission. I believe Anarchy of the Wolves, that could be another mission, or it could be saying that whoever the wolves are, they're in full out anarchy. I don't know, but it says hide your light and await further instructions from GLAMS. Listen on harmful hymn via balanced wave pattern, and that's talking about communication and how they communicate. So they're to wait further instruction, and they're to hide their light. Why? So they won't be detected. And they're just supposed to await further instructions. And I wonder, maybe I'm wrong, but I wonder if this could be a submarine. It says hide your light. I don't know. But again, any of you have any better interpretations, you're welcome to leave it in the comments below. A lot of people that listen to this do read the comments. You'd be surprised, especially the regular listeners. All right, and we're going next to, we're still in August, and we're going to the next post in August, and it says, Special Branch, stand down at Edith Grove, await further instructions from GLAMS. Now, again, not sure what this means. And I would assume that it's related to the above, but I don't know. This was posted on August 12th. This was posted on August 5th. So Edith Grove is a place. It's a street, actually. Hang on here. And it is located in the Chelsea neighborhood. The street starts north at the intersection with Fulham Road, crosses Kings Road, then ends at the intersection of Cremone Road, which is part of a district which is named World's End. That's interesting. So people linked to this street, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Brian Jones, resided at 102 from September 1962 to September 1963. After the separation of the English group Gene Loves Jezebel, created by Michael Aston in 1989, Aston forms the group Edith Grove according to the name of this street. So there you go. It is a street, a very real street in London, and let's close some of these down. My gosh, we've got an awful lot of stuff open. All right, and again, it just says stand down at Edith Grove. Await further instruction from GLAMS. So maybe there's somebody that she's talking to, because she said special branch. So who is this? Who are this special branch? Is it more than one person? Is it one person? I don't know, but they're supposed to stand down at Edith Grove. So that is a real place. Maybe there are other places that go by that name as well. I'm not sure, but it seems to be a fit. So that's all I have for that. And we are in September, so we're pretty close to being finished, I hope, because I've been talking a long time. September 2018. All right. Rejoice on Mount Hermon, kiss the new dawn, for all is prepared. What the heck? Hang on. There we go. There's a big old snowstorm out there, but I don't think that had anything to do with the snowstorm. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this part 1 and 2. I'm going to break there, get this uploaded, and then do the part 2 to this, which will be from September to December, because there's a lot here and I don't want this video to go any longer, because I know you're all out there wondering, is she going to post tonight? So there you go. And I do want to quickly thank a few people. Hang on here. Let me close these down. I got enough tabs open to, I don't know. All right. let's go back up here, and I want to thank the following coffee donors. Thank you, Isabel, Connie, Sharon, Amanda Barnes, and Wendy S. I may have already thanked Wendy S., but well, I'm sure she won't mind being thanked again. So thank you so much. There's no advertising on this site, so it does help. So there you go, and it also makes this possible. Anyway, that is it for tonight. I hope you guys stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth, because deception bites. Now, stay tuned for part 2, or go to bed and listen to part 2 tomorrow. Okay, good night.